4. Father, dear father. Textual question answers in text question 4.1. 1a. Who has written the letter? Answer. Rahul, a student, had written the letter. B. Who is it written to? Answer. The right letter is written to his Rahul's father. C. What had his father written? Answer. His father wrote to give more attention to his Rahul's studies. 2. Is the writer a good student? Whose words give you the answer? Answer. Yes, the writer was a good student. The words that show that he was a good student are my first rank slip to the second. 3. Are Pythagoras' theorem and Newton's law of gravity important to all of us in our daily lives? Why do you think we all learn about them? Answer. No, we think that Pythagoras' theorem and Newton's law of gravity are not important to all of us, but we need to know them as they are taught in our school. 4. What kind of life did the writer's grandfather lead when he was a small boy? What was considered important in those days? Answer. The writer's grandfather led a life of happiness and enjoyment. He gathered knowledge through living. No acquiring of scientific knowledge was not important in those days. 5a. What differences does the writer see in his mother's nature and his grandmother's? Answer. The difference between the grandmother and of the student was opposite to each other as his grandmother was peaceful and relaxed-minded. On the other hand, his mother was highly strung, tense, and nervous. B. What was he think is the reason for this? Answer. His grandmother was semi-educated and she kept busy in cooking, gardening, and studying religious books. On the other hand, his mother was highly educated and complex-minded. In text questions 4.1. 1. What does the writer think is wrong with his education? What would he really like to learn about? Answer. The writer thinks that the education important in school is not practical. It does not hold good in everyday life. He would like to learn about the things which are necessary in practical life. 2. Wisdom comes as a result of a studying hard. B. Living a full life. C. Both. What does the writer think? Answer. The writer thinks that wisdom comes a result of living a full life. 3. A. By how many marks did he lose his first position? Answer. Rahul lost her first position by the quarter marks. B. Why did he lose the mark? Answer. Rahul said that he was invited to tea by the teacher and he lost the mark. C. Who was right, the teacher or the student? Answer. The student was right. Overall questions. 1a. What does the writer think is wrong with the method of evaluation of papers? Answer. The writer thinks that the method of evaluation of answer paper is wrong because it depends on the attitude of the teacher, not on right or wrong. B. Is he right? Answer. He is partly right and partly wrong. C. Should we try to get more marks or should he make sure his knowledge is accurate? What do you think? Answer. As a student, he should try to make sure that his knowledge is accurate. 2a. Will the boy's father ever get his letter? Answer. No, the boy's father did not get the letter. B. Which words give you the answer? Answer. The following words give us the answer. Your eyes will not see this anguished plea. C. Why did Rahul write the letter? Answer. Rahul wrote the letter to lighten his overburdened heart. 3. What kind of letter did his father write to his son? Do you think he did the right thing? Give reasons for your answer. Answer. His father wrote an angry letter because his son slipped from the first position to the second. I think he did not do the right thing because position is not the main thing in life. The main thing in life is how happily and peacefully we live our lives. 4. What kind of education does the writer think is most useful? Do you agree? Answer. The writer thinks that the education that teaches us practical things to be useful in everyday life is the most useful education. 5.1. Imagine that Rahul ultimately sent the letter to his father. When his father receives the letter, he is deeply touched by it. What changes do you think occur in his attitude towards education? Answer. Let us imagine that the letter was received by his father, we think that he might be touched deeply by it. And if he got touched by the letter, then his attitude would have been changed towards education. He would have been less rigid to his son's study. 2. Rahul writes this letter to his father to express his heart and anguish. The letter was never meant to be posted to his father, but was his method to deal with his heart feeling. How do you deal with your feelings when you are hurt and in pain? Answer: we live in such a society which does not appreciate the mind of the children, so our heart is often hurt by the attitude of the elders. When my feelings get hurt and my mind pains, then I lose all the happiness of life, and sometimes I write poetry as a reaction. Vocabulary: words of opposite meaning can be made with several words by adding prefix like un and im. Add the prefix un and im to the following words: invite, important, healthy, qualified, perfect, used, impossible, answered, partial, proper. Answer: words with prefix: invited, uninvited, important, unimportant, healthy, unhealthy, qualified, unqualified, perfect, imperfect, used, unused, possible, impossible, answered, unanswered, partial, impartial, proper, improper. For example, he was this, that his bicycle tire was punctured. Aware, unaware. 1. Harish got poor marks in English because he thought it was an dash subject. 2. I do not like to go to dinner to anyone's house dash. 3. Many medical centers are run by dash doctors. 4. Sensible students always start studying well before the exam. It is best to finish the course the day before the paper. 5. Rohit wrote the Ashok and invited him for a visit, but the letter remained dash. 6. Would you like to wear this sweater? I bought it last year, but it has remained dash so far. 7. I saw a beautiful statue in the shop, but it has a small crack on the base. I decided not to buy an dash piece. 8. Eating too much fat and sugar is dash. 9. To call an elderly person by his first name is 10. It is the duty of a good teacher to be dash. Answer 1. Harish got poor marks in English because he thought it was an unimportant subject. 2. I do not like to go to dinner to anyone's house uninvited. 3. Many medical centers are run by unqualified doctors. 4. Sensible students always start studying well before the exam. It is impossible to finish the course the day before the paper. 5. Rohit wrote the Ashok and invited him for a visit, but the letter remained unanswered. 6. Would you like to wear this sweater? I bought it last year, but it has remained unused so far. 7. I saw a beautiful statue in the shop, but it has a small crack on the base. I decided not to buy an imperfect piece. 8. Eating too much fat and sugar is unhealthy. 9. Call an elderly person by his first name is improper. 10. It is the duty of a good teacher to be impartial.